Hello, and welcome to our next episode of our family podcast from Minnesota State University, Mankato. I'm excited to be joined today by one of our long-term leaders here within our Division of Student Affairs and Enrollment Management. It is Nikki Stock, Director of Student Engagement Initiatives, Director of Student Engagement Initiatives and Assessment. It's a relatively new title here from the work that she's been doing. And I'm excited to have her spend some time with us here today and share us a little bit more about mostly about orientation, things that are going on as students and families are preparing to learn more about the university to start in the fall. So with that, Nikki, welcome. Thanks for carving out some time to meet with me.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity.
So to give folks some background, how long have you been at MSU?
It will be 17 years in July.
Whoa,
Yep.
And where have you worked in that time?
All in the New Student and Family Programs office, which used to be called the First Year Experience Office, but yep, always here. And then actually just fun fact is I was a graduate student here also a couple of years prior to that. And I also worked in the New Student and Family Programs office at that time as well.
Oh, perfect. So there's no doubt you share all that because you're quite the expert when it comes to what new students and families are preparing, asking questions and such like that. I always love referring to this office as the one that parents and families at any point, if they have a question and they're not sure where to start with this office, because if you guys don't know the answer, you'll likely know where to find it. And that continues to ring true year over year. So it is an incredible resource. So again, thanks for carving out some time to meet with us here today. So what's all included within your office? What are all the responsibilities right now?
Yep. So, within the New Student Family Programs office, the biggest program probably is that orientation, and included with that is family orientation. And orientation, we coordinate the programs for all of our new entering first year students, as well as our transfer students, and then also online learners and extended ed. So we've got just different student populations that we coordinate those programs for. And then, like I said, family orientation too. We recognize that it's a transition for our family members as well, of our incoming students. And we want to give them the resources that they need also to help their student be successful and as they work through the transition. Another piece of our office, we do family communications. And right now we have our e-newsletters going out every 2 weeks, so twice a month. And we'll have you sign up for actually you'll automatically get signed up for those if you are signed up with admissions. We just kind of take your email address and add you to our newsletter. You can opt out if you choose. But yeah, that, and then we have our testing center as part of our office. And so the testing center is for math and English placement testing. And that's very new. That's just over a year that we started the testing center. And so we're trying to build that a little bit. We have done some ACT testing, and so we hope to expand different areas of testing as well. So those are the big pieces of the New Student and Family Programs office. We also coordinate family weekend, stuff like that. And then we help with our welcome week planning also. So just, again, those things to connect our students to the campus and then connect parents as well.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. That is a lot of stuff and a lot of important things that really make a difference for especially the way our students start, whether it's from the testing center to the orientation, and of course, just any general questions you may have. So that's great.
Right.
So let's start. You mentioned orientation is kind of that's probably top of mind for our listeners today as they're getting ready for this summer's orientation and what it looks like in the midst of a pandemic. And I always, during these podcasts, I try and reference today is April 15th. So any COVID information we share today is what we know as of today. So
right.
Depending on when you listen, it may change because it continues to change all the time. But Nikki, can you give us what's a high level overview of what orientation will look like for our new students and their families?
Right. Well, due to the planning that goes into orientation, because it is a large scale program, we had to make the decision a while back already to have a primarily virtual orientation program again this year. And we invite our students, there's kind of several pieces to that for our students. And so they're invited to sign up for an orientation session. And that session, there is a session date that they will Zoom into and get some just basic information from our assistant director for orientation, and then also the director of academic advising. And that will be kind of the start of their advising and registration process then. And then we do have our orientation, the kind of the content or the stuff we need our students to know to be successful here in the fall. We've got that set up in D2L Brightspace, which is our learning platform here at the university. And so students sign in with their STAR ID and kind of, it's a great way to, students can start learning how to navigate D2L because they will be using it for classes also in the fall. So it's kind of nice. And that is part of the orientation. We also teach them how to navigate D2L before they get into it. We are, so again, primarily virtual. We are in the planning stages. We hope to offer a handful of on-campus visit experiences yet for our students. Again, we're really in the early planning stages of that. We haven't set dates yet. We're looking probably at July for those. And we're really still working around the physical distancing guidelines that we have in place for that. And so trying to figure out what makes the most sense and getting students the experience, a great experience on campus. But we also want them to have that opportunity of actually coming to see the campus and meeting other new first year students. And, that's all part of the typical orientation experience. We do some of that virtual as well. We will offer up connection labs. They were the highest rated part of the program last year. Last year is obviously the first year that we did the connection labs, but that truly is an experience where we have our orientation staff, our orientation leaders facilitating about a 1-hour session with new first year students or transfer students as well. We've got separate ones for transfer students. And yeah, they just kind of get to know each other over Zoom as best you can, but they engage the students and get them talking and connecting. That's the first step. And so that's what it looks like this year. Yeah. And we'll get more information out to you when we know the dates and more information about the on-campus experience. But
Perfect. So to learn more about you for orientation, the best resource, probably the website right now.
Yep. And email. Oh my gosh, you have to be checking your email because our admissions office is sending out the information that we need that way. But yes, our website is up to date. And so you can check that out. But yeah, that's probably the best at this point.
Perfect. Thanks. So one of the things you were sharing with me before we started the recording was that you have a pretty unique experience for families and parents that you started last year for the first time. And that's a book club to help families understand the transition their students might be going through. Can you share us a little bit more about how that went last year and what the plan is for it this year?
Sure. Yep. Yeah. We have chosen a book. It's called Out to Sea, A Parent's Survival Guide. I think that's what the subtitle is. But it is written by actually an author who is from Minnesota, and she had her daughters went to college. So she's met with different administrators to write the book, and then she's got some parent input and that kind of thing. But it's just a real easy read. And yeah, so we invite our parents and family members to join us for the book club. We do have limited copies that we've been sending out for people that sign up for the book club. And to promote you to get that book as soon as possible. But yeah, we'll meet 3 times. You don't have to be at every meeting because actually our first meeting is scheduled for Monday, April 19th. And then we'll meet again in May and one more time in June. And yeah, all new parents are welcome. It's a great opportunity, especially if this is your first student going away to college. Because we really talk about those transition issues that students, and like I said, and parents face them as well. And like I said, it's an easy read, and parents last year found it to be, spot on, right? Like that those were the things that they were experiencing. And so the book club then gave us an opportunity. It's actually led by our counseling center director, Carrie Much. And so she did a great job facilitating. She's facilitating again this year too. But yeah, parents could talk about what's going on and how their student is reacting. And is it similar to others and what's different? And Carrie just does a great job with that, with facilitating that. So we're excited to offer that again this year as an opportunity. So yeah.
Sounds like an amazing one. And listeners may recall, I have a high school senior who's college bound in the fall. So there is a copy of that book in my house.
Are you going to be joining us on Monday?
Probably not Monday, but it is something we've been talking about taking a look at. And there are days we can't imagine him leaving. And then there's days we can pack you tonight. Let's keep going.
That's very typical. Yes. I've been quite honestly working with the parents at orientation that's always been my favorite thing. And so for all the years that I've been doing it, hear all the stories, and you'd be surprised at how similar it is across the board. But
But it's just, I'm assuming is because, and my depth of knowledge might be a little greater because I taught college, I taught human growth and development in graduate school when I lived in North Carolina. And so I know the stages from Erickson and all these things that they're going through. But I have to remind myself what appears to be a jerk is a kid who's trying to figure out some more autonomy and control at times. And you're just
Right.
like, ah.
Yep.
So any assistance in helping remind me is always helpful as well.
Right. Yep.
I really appreciate you providing that opportunity for our parents and those that want to take it. And they can get it through bookstore, Amazon, the
Right.
book's all over. So it shouldn't be too hard to find. And again, is there more information on your website on that?
Yep. You can go to the website. And then, so if you actually go to, real quick, it's mnsu.edu/orientation. And then under the orientation page, you'll find a link to family resources. And then that's where you'd find the family orientation information that includes the book club and then also your podcast information.
Excellent. Excellent. It is the top rated Mankato-based family orientation podcast, I tell everybody. So Nikki, with 17 years of experience and having done this for a while, let's wrap it up with what advice, would you give to parents as they're preparing for this transition?
Sure. I asked David if I could joke about teaching them to do laundry. Yes, it's those things, not necessarily the laundry, but we want to partner with our parents and family members of our incoming students. And our goal really, I think, of the university is really to launch our students so that they are adults, that they are contributing members to society and they know how to be successful at life. And we all need to work together on that because that's been our parents' job is to do that as well, right? Yeah, have them start seriously making their own doctor's appointments and their own dentist appointment, it's kind of those kinds of things, but also talk to them about finances and, kind of all the other important things about becoming an adult, a responsible adult. Yeah. I also said to students, if I can give advice to students, I would, just check your email. There's a lot of stuff that we send out over email, and our students may feel like that's an antiquated way to communicate, but it is how we still communicate at the university. So just do that. But yeah, no, parents, enjoy it, take those pictures of, this is your last, I don't know, 4th of July together. This is, all those kinds of things. And as you know, time passes quickly when you have children. So enjoy it. It's fun and scary. And students are probably a little bit scared too, even though they don't want to admit it. But yeah.
I think that's about right from what I see.
Mm-hmm.
Their nerves already are starting to the reality of my son's going to play college soccer, and he recently received the message from the coach about when he needs to report. Mm-hmm. And that suddenly became very real. There's a hard date of which I need to be at college. And just another step in the transition process, I guess.
It is. So normally we'd have an orientation program on campus for our family members. And I talk about all those different emotions. And fear is one of them. But fear shows up in many different ways. Anxiety, worry. Yeah, we have a lot of words for it, but it's real.
It is very much so, very much. Nikki, thank you so much for spending some time with us today and sharing your wisdom. And I know that you stand ready as any of our staff and employees and faculty here do at answering any questions folks may have. I know they can reach out to you through the New Student Family Program website and orientation information and everything, but really appreciate you carving out some time here. And for our listeners, stay tuned for another episode. We'll have one out soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.